It is?
Yeah. Here, let me show you.
Oh, you have it just completely. Oh, okay.
Bam!
It is recording.
Mr. Jacob.
Mr. Marcus.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing it, and I'm doing well.
All right, that's great. Welcome to the Dank Coalition podcast. We are the people we just said we were. And Jacob, I have a treat for you today.
I heard this was something special. I mean, I got out of bed for this, so...
Well, good for you. I did an interview with the one and only Tabitha Meeks.
I heard she's a pianist.
She's an excellent pianist.
But really, yeah. I Tabitha is a well-known name around this area. She is in a band, Mona Lisa Tribe. She also is a teacher.
One of my favorite bands.
And she's just overall incredible musician, business woman. She just kills it. So I'm pretty excited to kind of sit back and see what you and Tabitha had to talk about, Marcus. I never heard any of this. So kind of if you heard our Mosca Project podcast we did, it's kind of similar to that. I'll be kind of sitting back commentating over some parts that Marcus and Tabitha talked about. But yeah, this will be my first time kind of hearing all this. So I'm pretty stoked.
Sweet. Let's get into it. Check 1 2 check 1 2
check. Mine isn't sounding like that.
Because you're not on it.
Check. That's too
much.
Check. Hello.
Check.
I'm Diana Krall. Hello.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Are you good? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Tabitha, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I am doing great.
Okay.
How
good.
are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's always nice to see you, especially when you need laundry done. I really appreciate that.
No, Marcus, I appreciate you and your laundry machines.
Great. So I figured I'd capitalize on this situation and do a little interview action with you. Those of you who do not know, Tabitha Meeks is a local pianist, musician, all-around musical badass. And she does this for a living. She does lessons. She plays piano everywhere for funerals, for weddings. What haven't you played piano for, to be honest with you? I don't know. I feel like you've done every...
breakups, engagements,
divorces. And she also has a great all-girl group called the Mona Lisa Tribe, and I'm a huge fan of them.
Aw, thanks, Marcus.
Yeah, they're my favorite thing ever here in West Palm Beach. They're really good, just 4-part vocals, just crushing it, and just playing like folk music the way you've never heard it before.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So, Tabitha.
Mm-hmm.
First question for you. Ready?
Yes.
All right. What is your first memory of music, like, that stuck out to you? You're like, this is something. This is a thing I could get into.
First memory of music? Probably church. Probably singing a little solo in church would be my first memory. I think I was like 5 years old.
Oh, 5. Okay.
And my dad would always play trumpet around the house. My mom would always sing around the house. Neither of them are professional musicians, but I did always have music in the house. So.
Okay, cool. Pretty sweet. When did you actually start playing music?
I started piano lessons at 6.
6?
And
Jeez.
I'm 26, so I can officially say 20 years.
Oh, you have me beat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been probably like 14 years for me playing saxophone.
Oh, you're such a baby.
Okay.
Musician.
I'll be a professional one day.
Yeah.
Cool. So you started doing lessons when you were about 6, and did you keep them up the entire way through your childhood?
Yeah, I have been doing classically trained piano since I was 6, all the way through college. Then I stopped taking. But also, interesting thing about me, considering Mona Lisa Tribe, is I was in a little girl group. too.
What?
When I was in elementary school.
Oh, I need to hear about this. Tell
And
me.
we were in a folk group. We were called, it was a Christian group. So instead of Point of Grace, which was an old Christian band, we were called Pints of Grace.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
and we got pretty locally famous. No, not really. We probably played, like, we sang at our church, and then we
Pints
played
of Grace.
the Pints of Grace. We played at like little folk festivals. I think there was a strawberry festival. Mind you, this is DeLand, Florida. So
Oh man.
we played at a couple festivals. We sang songs from like "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," and we sang in
Wow.
3-part harmony, actually.
Okay.
So it was legit, yeah.
How old were you when that happened?
Definitely not into middle school yet. So probably 10, I'd say. Maybe 9 to 10.
Okay.
Angel was in it too. My little
Really?
sister.
Angel was in it?
Uh-huh.
Angel Meeks is a known public figure in the West Palm Beach community. She sadly moved away to Seattle, where she's probably going to do awesome things over there.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, Angel, here's a little shout out to you.
We love
We
you.
miss you.
We miss you.
Pints of Grace.
What a name.
That's excellent. I still can't get over it. It's amazing.
So 20 years, huh? I mean, that kind of explains a lot, because she's not only just a professional at her craft, but just the way she kind of carries herself as she performs too. I mean, she's been doing it for a while. I mean, what would she say? Like when she was 10 years old, she played like a little festival with Pints of Grace.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
She's been gigging for a while.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Totally. Yeah, I mean, it just shows just in her mannerisms, just how long she's been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
She's very comfortable on the piano when she plays. It's always a pleasure to hear her. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a little jealous. It'd be cool to have started music when you're like 6 years old, right?
Right, right. I mean, there's also
How sick would we be?
Oh, exactly, but there's also a sense too where you see people start at an early age and kind of have like the experience of performing out, and then later on they either get burnt out from it, discouraged from
Yeah,
it, and
that's
then
true.
never go back, or they just realize that's not what they want to do. But in this case, no, this was like just the start of something beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy that she started being in an all-girl folk band when she was a little kid. And
Yeah.
now that's what she's doing with Mona
Yeah,
Lisa.
exactly. That's why I thought it was
What
so
the heck?
cool. I know. I mean, I have not yet to see Mona
What,
Lisa Tribe.
incarnation?
Yeah. I've not yet to see them. I really want to. I mean, I've been only seeing all the social media stuff and like the YouTube videos and all that. I'm like, man, this sounds so good, and it's like real, like authentic. Like it's not just people in a group like, oh, what kind of music we want to play? Oh, let's try folk music. Okay, sure. No, like this is, you can tell I'm like, that's kind of like where her roots come from. I'm like, that's really cool. And especially, I mean, if anyone's familiar with DeLand, Florida.
Never heard of it.
You never heard of it?
No, I have.
Yeah,
There's
they-
like a classical university over there for like music.
Stetson, right?
I think so.
I think there's not much. Honestly, there's from my own.
There's a place, there's a bar that people play at over there. I think Broadway on Pie is in
think-
DeLand. Do you know what I'm talking
I think
about?
it's in
Or
Ocala.
Pie on Broadway.
I think that's.
I think I got it
I
mixed
think
up.
that's in Ocala.
Really?
I
Isn't that
pretty.
pretty close to DeLand anyway?
It is pretty close,
It's not close.
relatively.
No, I'm kidding.
But
I'm sure there's another venue we're not thinking about that's over there.
But no, I have played there. But no, just DeLand. I mean, from my understanding, last time I've been there wasn't really much going on. That was only like a few years ago. So I mean, she was 10 years old when she was playing in DeLand.
Yeah.
Or she's from DeLand. So I mean, it's kind of cool to see that she got an opportunity at an early age at somewhere that probably wasn't really having many opportunities, from my understanding.
Totally, dude. Definitely. Let's hear what else is going on with Tabitha.
So that kind of leads to my next question, which is the musical training and background. So you said you were studying classical music as a kid growing up, and you were doing lessons. Did you carry that? Did you do anything like in school at all, or what was like?
I
what
was
was that like?
homeschooled.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was homeschooled. So it's not like all I did was practice piano because I was homeschooled. I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't remember practicing
You don't remember practicing?
until college. Like I really have no
my
memories
God.
of practicing.
Oh,
So I don't know
you
what
sound
that
really good
says.
for that.
Apparently my mom says I practice all the time, and my siblings say that I would wake them up at 7 a.m. because I had a rule. There's a rule: no playing piano before 7 a.m.
And this is because of you?
Yeah.
This is your fault that this rule
Yes.
exists?
Growing up, but I have no recollection really practicing. I just did it
Wow.
all the time, I guess.
Yeah, I kind
But-
of had a similar experience with myself as a kid doing
Really?
that. Like, I would just play. I wouldn't think about playing. You know, you just did it. You're like, all right, I'm just gonna
Yep.
do this, and then and then go to video games. And just not think
Neopets for me.
Neopets. Oh wow, you go online and do that, huh?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Right? You go.
Back
It was a
in the
website.
day, yeah.
Yeah, my sister did that a lot. I remember
Dial-up.
Neopets. That's awesome. So then you went to so once you were done, so you were homeschooled pretty much the entire way through. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you went to college.
Yeah, I did dual enrollment 15 to 18. So I was doing full-time college classes in high school.
Okay.
But yeah.
And then you decide to go when you went to college? It was for music specifically.
Yes, I have a degree in music, a Bachelor of Arts. Actually, I went to
Bachelorette of
college. Yes. I went to
I'm
college as a classical composition major, and I studied composition for 2 years. So actually like notating out music, not just logic or things like that. Not
Okay.
film score. So, but I decided it wasn't for me. I can't sit in a room for 8 hours and compose, and I'm just not detailed when it comes to paper.
Yeah.
Like all the little details that goes into that is not my thing. So I switched to BA because I'd rather just play piano and work on the actual instrument and music. But I do love composing. I composed a couple choral pieces that have been premiered at Wellington High School and Jewett Middle School in Tampa. So I
Nice.
still do that. That's a side gig.
Pretty cool. You have many side gigs. I know that
Yes.
to be a fact. We'll get to those shortly. So after that, you went to college. You did the thing. You got your degree.
Did the thing.
And what's your career looking like now? What does your day look like?
Well, now I work about 45 hours, I would say, as a pianist. Actually, I was telling a couple of my students that if I applied for any job other than music, it would be terrible because my resume is 100% just music. Even in high school, I taught piano. That's like how I made a living.
Wow.
Or made money. But so I work at Palm Beach Atlantic University as an accompanist for the popular music students. So that's playing jazz, chord charts, reading music, musical theater. So pretty much every genre except classical. And so that's incredibly fun. Then I work 3 days a week at Wellington High School as their accompanist, which definitely leans more towards classical music that I play. And I teach. I gig with Mona Lisa Tribe, and I gig as a solo pianist doing jazz or classical.
Yeah. I love that. I
She
mean,
does a lot of
she
things.
does. Yeah, she does a whole lot, but there's so much respect
Makes
to
me
that.
feel very lazy.
There's so much there's so much respect for her because I mean she knows what she wants and she's doing it. I mean she wants to do music with her life, and that's exactly what she's doing in every aspect. She's super invested into her craft. She's super invested into her career, and that's what shows. And you can always tell those type of people that like explain what they're doing, and then there's like that breath, that deep like that yeah, but it wasn't like a disappointing it's like yeah, and that's my day.
Yeah, I do all these things.
I do all these things, and I want to do more because that's just like how much she loves it. I mean, look at her. Like she started when she was 10 years old, and look at her now. I mean, kind of changing the subject a little bit. I mean, take like high school athletes. I mean, Marcus, do you ever remember like in your high school, was there like ever that one kid who was like a disgusting like football or basketball player?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
always that, you know.
Yeah, and like there was like a freak of nature. It's like, oh, he's been like he's been playing football since he was 2 years old, and then he's a senior. And he's like, oh, he gets all these like offers to go to this school, this school, this school, this school, this school, and then once he gets into like the college level of football, they realize like, wow, this is actually serious. And there's a big statistic with high school athletes going into college when it's like it's game time. It's for real this time, and they're like, this isn't for me. This is way too much. And for Tabitha, and kind of bringing it back to music, she started when she was 10 years old, and she was going, and then once things started to become real as her becoming an adult, she's starting to see opportunities, and she's grabbing every opportunity that comes at her way, and that just shows what kind of person she is. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm already tired of playing shows sometimes nowadays. You know, it's like, I just want to go to bed. Just want to put on Sherlock Holmes and
and just like
and just
crush some fruit or something.
Oh yeah,
something healthy,
or some Ben and Jerry's. You know, depends on how I feel about myself.
Depends on the day of the week.
Yeah, you know, cheat day is definitely a pint of Ben and Jerry's type of night for me. But yeah, man, it you know, it kind of, there's a similarity here with just like Tabitha's like work ethic and like Amir's work ethic from you know, that interview where like, man, they just go at it, like they just didn't stop. I mean, Amir was getting degrees in engineering,
got his master's,
you know, gigging with blues bands and stuff like that. You know, like, man, it's like, you know, and Tabitha just never let up, and like it's shown. Like she's able to do this because she puts herself in it 100%. And like I've been working with her in a new band I can't talk about.
Oh, okay.
Secret.
Yeah.
You heard it first.
Oh, I want
But and even there, you know, she's messaging me and letting me know like the material, the keys, you know, for the tunes, how we should do things, you know. And I never asked that of her, you know.
Yeah.
But she just does that. That's what she brings to the table, and she's such an awesome person to work with because of that. And I think like, you know, a lot of stuff that she just said exemplifies that attitude.
Yeah, and that really separates from musicians and professional musicians in a sense.
Totally.
Like just going like the extra mile. Just if someone's putting in 10 hours, she's putting in 15 hours.
Yeah, man. That's Tab in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it's awesome. Let's see what else you got to say.
What are the things that you're up to most recently? I know you play with Mona Lisa Tribe. That's like one of the most popular bands in West Palm right now going on. So you know what? How did that get started? Let me ask you that. Like, how did Mona Lisa Tribe happen? Where did this come from? 'Cause I feel like it came out of nowhere. We haven't even known each other for a year, and we're like really good friends all of a sudden. Like you're already doing your laundry in my place, and recording podcast episodes to trade.
Well, Mona Lisa Tribe happened. I always have wanted to start a girl band. Always. I thought it would be a really cool concept.
Since that experience.
Since Pints of Grease.
You're like, man, I just need that back in my life.
I mean, truth be told, at some point, I think I thought it would be a jazz fusion girl band, which that could still happen. Hey, any jazz fusion.
There's plenty of time for that.
Any jazz fusion girls out there, women, I need you. So yeah, be in contact. But that would be a side project. So Mona Lisa Tribe, me and Caroline Schroep, who is currently in it, we met at church, and we were just talking one day, and we decided to start it. It would be really cool. And I had a PBA student, one of the college students that I worked with, who was about to graduate, and I thought she was amazing. Her name's Erin Thompson. So the three of us started it. We did not think it would go anywhere. We just, me and Erin both wrote original music though. So I guess that's kind of what catapulted us more or less. But yeah, we did coffee shops, and then those two girls went out of the country. So I had a couple other people come in and replace them while they were gone. Erin is still out of the country. Caroline came back, and we added Sarah Elkins and Aaron Cascoli and John, the drummer and bass.
John
John McGrath and John Wagner play bass for us. So that is Mona Lisa Tribe. And yeah, we just kind of started coffee shop gigs. We worked our way up. And now we are playing, hopefully, City Place, amphitheater pretty soon. We just did Harborside in Jupiter. We played Blue Jay Listening Room up in Jacksonville, which was a really great gig. So, yeah, we're just seeing where it takes us.
Nice. Well, I have zero concern that, you know, you guys are just going to keep pushing it and it's going to keep getting better. I'm not even worried about that. You guys have the sound and the vibe. It's great. And you're all fun people to hang out with.
We have fun.
Yeah. And, you know, it also, like, it just comes out in the music. You're also playful with each other on stage and just, you know, it's all about having a good time, you know, and the energy is there when you guys, you know, when you get back into it, it's, you know, the songs, you guys crush the song so hard. I'm just like, oh my God. like, I haven't heard music like West Palm done like that in a while. You know, there's very few bands out there that I feel like are, especially in our area, that I feel like are really really doing something that's truly unique, you know, to the music scene. It isn't just generic or is, you know, sometimes these bands don't really put in the full effort of, you know, creating a very strong sound. You know, and that doesn't. And for me, you know me, I play saxophone. I play in all kinds of bands, but you know that I am very particular about the type of music I like to listen to, and I don't just like if I'm gonna like folk music, it's for a good reason. You know what I mean? And it's usually because the writing and just the musicianship is very stellar, and I think Mona Lisa Tribe definitely just checks all those boxes for me, and the shows are fun.
I want to know how she got the name.
You know, that's a good question.
Do you get to that at this point or no?
I don't know if I asked her that.
Well, I hope I did.
We'll leave it a mystery then. I like that. But no, it's man, it's what a cool story to hear. Just like, oh, we were just, you know, friends hanging out, enjoyed music, and we just enjoyed each other's company, and it just went to this, went to that, went to this, went to that, and now it's here.
Yeah, man. I hear, you know, the inception of bands are always interesting because it's never like clean. It's not like, oh, you were a band and we were all friends with each other and now we're a band. Like,
right.
It's always like, you know, for Tabitha in this group, you know, she had one friend, you know, she had Caroline, and then from there they had other people that they enlisted, but people have come and gone from the group, even the short amount of time that they've been a group. Yeah, you know. And like, I mean, I can relate to that with like Public Sounds, for instance, where like, you know, we still don't have like a technical steady drummer. We have one right now that's around, but you know, no, but like Gus, you're the best. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. Love you, man. Love you, Gus. Stay where you are. No, but you know, it's just it's never simple, you know, and really like that's the thing I want people to understand is like to have like a group of people agree to do something together is insane.
It's yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's
like how let's talk about how did the Helmsmen get together? Like how was that? Like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it started as a friendship, and then it just started as like enjoying each other's company, and then it just kind of grew from there. I mean, it never gets to the point like, I mean, it's a rare occasion. I mean, everyone's story is different as far as like everyone just happens to be in the same room. We all just happen to look at each other, give you like a little nod, like, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this band thing, yeah. And then bam, it happens. No, I mean everything takes steps and everything takes progress. But no, I kind of liked how it just kind of started so innocent and so naturally, and it just like kept going, even though people did leave and people kind of moved on with their lives or had the other obligations. Tabitha never realized, like, never as like the front person, front woman, as a leader of the group, she never was just like, well, these people are leaving, I should just like,
she always just maintain that standard though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, all right, well, she could have easily been like, okay, this is done, or like whatever, this is just like not, she doesn't have to take it seriously.
Yeah,
she just kept looking for people that were gonna fit that sound of Mona Lisa Tribe, you know, and maintain that status quo.
It's getting people excited. I mean, I know recently they played at Matthews Brewery, and another local great musician,
I love Matthews Brewery.
Summer Gill. She's another great piano player, singer-songwriter around this area. I saw on her Instagram story that she went there, and then she was just like kind of like blowing it up, just like, oh my gosh, my first time seeing them. Oh my gosh, I love this song. Just like putting their music on her story, just putting it on blast, and it's just awesome to see other musicians get so excited about like a fresh new band.
Oh, definitely, man. And
I
Mona
love
Lisa
it.
has definitely earned that right.
Yeah, and I
for
love the
sure.
fact. Oh, I heard a little bit of. They did Shaky Graves, and not too many people, not your average Joe, knows about like, Shaky Graves. But they've executed. I mean, from the little Instagram clip I saw, I mean, they executed it so well. So I can already tell that they're moving in the right direction. They're doing big things, and just look at Tabitha's history just from like the 5 minutes of just been kind of listening to this. Start at 10 years old. I mean, music's been her life, and she's just said like, yeah, look at my resume. It's everything related to music and more.
Yeah,
And that's all. And that's what she wants to do. She wants to keep moving forward. And this is just a testament to show.
totally, man. Let's hear what else she's got to say about it.
So how long has Mona Lisa Tribe been a thing? Like how far back has it gone? Like we talked about kind of how it got started in general, but like just so people know like how long you've been working on this for.
We had our official first performance November 2016, and that was with the original Aaron and Caroline. And then we were pretty laid back. We didn't do much for the next year because other girls were kind of in and out. We knew that they would be gone, and it wasn't until maybe about a month before they left that we really started getting a couple solid gigs. We played at So Far Sounds. You know what So Far Sounds is? Yeah. The secret shows. So we did one of those in where was it? Fort Lauderdale. But and that was with the two replacements. There's no band drama, don't worry.
Hey, it's straight business sometimes.
Yeah. So it started going really well. We started getting those gigs, and I knew the other two wouldn't be here in town for them, but I really felt like we had something here, so I wanted to keep it going. It's like, all right, let's see. I think I know this girl. Hannah Solomini was in it for a little while, and Marianne Wims. And I knew that they had a good ear for harmony. They'd be able to pull it off, and they did. They were awesome while they were in it. And that's kind of what kept it going. So it truly has been a tribe.
Nice. Good. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad to hear that, the things are still moving forward. Mm-hmm. So let me talk about a little bit more about yourself and kind of dig a little deeper into the mind of Tabitha.
Oh, no. You don't want to do that.
Oh, it's gonna happen right here on this podcast. So one of the things I want to know is like the types of artists that have impacted you, like that you were just like, man, like, and what I like to phrase it is like, who's, maybe you can even name an artist or maybe a couple artists that have, when you listen to them, you're like, oh, this is music. This is why music means so much to me. Do you have anything like that you can name off?
Yeah, definitely. For me, the first two that come to mind, and they are completely different.
Great, even better.
But I have a huge variety of musical tastes.
Good.
So, in terms of the folk music genre, First Aid Kit, definitely. I started listening to them in college. Do you know First Aid Kit?
I have no idea who they are. So now I
They're
have
so
to.
cool.
Well, then we're going to pause the podcast. I'm going to listen to everything they've done, and then we're going
Yes.
to come back.
You have heard a song because Mona Lisa Tribe does
Oh, you guys
a
cover
cover.
it?
We do a
Cool.
cover of them. But they're two sisters. I think they're from Sweden, and they're just constantly harmonizing. But I remember listening to them maybe about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. And whenever I listen to them, I immediately get inspired to write. Because for Mona Lisa Tribe, as of now, I write all the music. And I don't know what it is about their sound and the way that their music is put together, but it's always really inspiring to me. First Aid Kit, and what?
What's the other one?
The other one is definitely my all-time favorite jazz pianist, Hiromi Yahara.
Oh, Hiromi! I know Hiromi. She's amazing. I listened to her live one time.
Hiromi.
I tried to talk to her, but I couldn't say words. This was years ago, the Jacksonville Jazz Festival. Did you play with Stanley Clark? It was so awesome. Yes.
I've seen her live too, Newport Jazz Festival.
Oh, sick. Hiromi has like some of the sweetest compositions. I kind of want to listen to her now.
Oh, we should. In
All right.
high school I started listening to her. She was my way into jazz fusion, and I
How did
haven't
you come
stopped.
across Hiromi? You're
One of-
homeschooled, so how did this happen?
Yeah,
You're
public-
homeschooled in DeLand. Where does one find Hiromi?
To be fair, I don't know if public school would really educate you on Hiromi,
Yeah, you're
but
probably right.
I feel like
No, that's also correct.
jazz fusion is nerdy enough that homeschoolers can be into it.
Fair enough.
One of my dad's work friends.
Oh, really?
He
You
knew
know the person's name?
Jeff.
Give him a shout out.
Jeff Shepard.
Jeff Shepard.
Yes.
You created great taste in terms of music.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah.
So what about Hiromi?
Hiromi.
I know, but other people might not know who Hiromi is, so we should enlighten them. You
Well,
should enlighten them about
yeah,
why Hiromi's
so-
awesome.
So if you are into jazz at all, then you would probably know who Oscar Peterson is. And basically picture Oscar Peterson doing jazz fusion. That's what Hiromi is. But in the body of a tiny little Japanese woman. And so Hiromi also, you got to look her up live, like live videos
Yeah, her
of
shows
her.
are awesome. She's very
Her-
energetic and enthusiastic when she plays.
She's always laughing, like
Yeah,
literally
she's just
laughing.
having a good time.
Her hair is like 3 feet out from her head. She's laughing, but she just tears it on the piano. I read an article about Hiromi once. And this made me realize I can never have a good excuse for anything on why I'm not that good on piano. She can barely reach an octave. Her hands are so small.
Really?
Yeah, if you heard this woman play though, you'd think she had the hands the size of a list or something.
Yeah.
But she's got tiny hands, but she just kind of tears the piano apart.
Sweet.
Yeah, different odd time signatures. Her compositions, they're funky. They have a groove, but they're extremely complex, extremely. And she's put out so much music, and everything is similar, but also it has its own style, like each album does. So if you are not into Hiromi, you should be.
Well, you heard it here, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Go and do that now.
You ever heard of Hiromi, Jacob?
Harambe?
I knew that was coming. I'll let you have it.
Zip. Dicks out for Harambe.
Wah, wah, wah.
I definitely thought that was super interesting. Her influences. If I was here, I would have asked her, since she is kind of like Mona Lisa Tribe, still in the newer stages of like the local scene band. I would ask her, if you have any, who are some of your kind of localized influences around here? Like kind of like, who do you look up? Like, yo, I see him. He's killing it. Like for me, I can think of like Josh Miles and like those boys from Jam and the Sweets. They're just crushing it.
Yeah.
And then someone like Brett Staska and like Bryce Allen, just like from like the solo singer songwriter status. I think what they do is so cool, and just like everything they say on the mic, it's not over talking, it's not too much and it's not too little, it's perfect. They know exactly what to do. They know exactly how to kind of like set their little bar gigs set list up and like kind of tweak in their originals and still have like a creative feel with what they do. And it's awesome seeing that. They're definitely some of like my local inspirations for sure. I was wondering, she definitely should have asked her that, but hey, then maybe we'll have to bring her in again.
Yeah, she was pretty eager. She was really excited about doing the podcast. As a matter of fact, me and Tabitha recorded a little she interviewed me.
Oh, she did tell me that.
Yeah.
And then I realized like I'm fired.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But so I think what we're gonna do is that we're gonna have this track for people who who are extra special to us, that like to take care of us, extra special fans that they'll get that extra content. And I think we'll let them know soon how we're gonna distribute that for people.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Totally. The influence thing is great. Like I think that's my favorite part of hearing, like, interviewing musicians, is like who they were listening to really get them like geared up to want to play music.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you find people that you never heard about, like, she brought up Oscar Peterson and
Harambe.
Yeah, totally. So who knew Harambe was such a strong influence on her? He moved a lot of people, that's for sure. Especially a toddler. But Oh, too soon?
It's a little too soon. A wee bit too soon. It was clever, but too soon. What are some of your influences?
My influences?
Yeah. I mean, it could be local. It could be bigger scale. It could be nobody. You can think you're perfect.
Zeppelin. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Jimmy Page just
Really,
inspires my saxophone.
I mean, for myself, like, you know, there was a guy who was local who moved to New York recently. His name was Troy Roberts, and he was a tenor saxophone player, and he was just so good. He was Australian. He was going to school at UM. He was getting his master's there, and his just writing was so good. His playing was so tasteful. Everything. He's a nice guy. I went to one of his live shows and talked to him. He's just the coolest guy to talk to, and just, you know, just really easy to talk to about all the stuff he's doing, and like his music's really complex. So it's like sometimes it's like tough to kind of articulate the things that appeal to you from, you know, in his songs. So
yeah,
he's just there with you and like excited and happy that you're there to play, and you know, that left a big impact on me, and I listen to his stuff all the time. Troy Roberts' New Jive is like the best like stuff I love to listen to so much. And then like in terms of tenor saxophone players, like Sonny Rollins was a big influence on me. I mean, like you listen to like and when you go to school for it, you listen to like, you know, like John Coltrane and all these other saxophone players, Dexter Gordon. But some of the more obscure guys were piqued my interest the most. I like Stan Getz a lot, but then also I really liked this guy Johnny Griffin, that just very under the radar, but he was a very tasteful player. It's like there's a balance between like technical prowess and like melody, you know, when you're playing like a monophonic instrument, meaning one note at a time.
Right, yeah.
And like sometimes you can play crazy weird stuff like Coltrane, you know, especially in his later records, or like just playing a strong melody and just really hitting some nice chord tones, you know, like at the right spot is just something that I just like. I feel like I lean towards that a little bit more than I do like the technical stuff. But like that stuff is just killer to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, local musicians around here these days. I mean, like Josh Miles is also like, just when he sings, I'm just like, man, that's just good stuff right there. Like, I just don't argue with that. Like in my mind, I'm just like, he's just like, if he was a car salesman, I'd be like, I'm buying this car. Like, that's it. I don't. Whatever price he says is what I'm buying.
You just got to sing it. He sings the price like, damn it, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and like. I would say like in a way like I play in Spread the Dub, but like it's just funny how these guys can just goof off and do whatever, but like when we play a song, like, we play it like to the T. And I don't know why, but that's something that resonates with me. You know, you know, I like the Helmsman in terms of just like the campiness of your guys' shows.
Yeah.
And like just very quirky elements and just kind of digging in on like. You know, Jesse has a really like unique vocal style, and like you guys just lean in on that, you know, and that's really cool, you know. And it's like, to me, it's sometimes it's just uniqueness that really gets me. Like, wow, like I didn't think about doing music like that, you know. I
mean, you don't have to tattoo your face to be unique. You can actually focus on your craft and your art. I mean, nothing against tattoos. If you want to tattoo your face, go for it. And,
I don't know where that came from.
And dread your hair. I mean, that's the whole thing with like the whole genre of like the hip hop community. I mean, everyone's saying you have to be unique to be noticed, and in a sense, you're right. But they think I just have to change my look completely and do wildish things on the internet to link it to my music. So you can pay attention to my music, but in a sense, you're actually just paying attention to the weird things I'm doing on the internet.
Yeah, man. I feel like in this day and age, there's just like, you know, the people like listening with their eyes is more of a thing, you know?
Yeah, no, you're so right.
It's like Instagram is great, and it's great for musicians, but it's more visually based platform. So like, you know, obviously like good photography, like, you know, a picture of someone holding a guitar really cool. It means more to somebody musically than like actually listening to what they've produced, you know. And I just think that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's there's a fine line between consuming and creating. If you're consuming way more than you're creating, you're gonna need to kind of take a step back and look, and then be like, wow, I should be creating more than I'm consuming.
Yeah, man. I just think it's kind of backwards. Like, I don't know. Like, imagine if you did that with grocery shopping. You're like, wow, this edible object looks really cool.
Yeah.
Let me eat that. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's actually what we do at grocery stores, don't we?
we just eat stuff. No, I totally know what you mean. I mean, yeah, if you go in the grocery
Actually,
store,
foods are made to look really cool, so that you'd
Yeah.
buy them.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it.
yeah, no, I mean, could you imagine just going to the grocery store and just looking at something and be like, wow, this looks cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this, even though it has nothing to kind of do.
not good for
It's
you.
not good for you. It's not good for you. It's not on your list of what you want to get within your budget.
Yeah.
But you're just kind of following it because it looks good. I mean, maybe it tastes good and all that stuff, but is it really good for you? I mean, you can take that sense and put it into music. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's just listening with their eyes more than their ears at sometimes. We're talking about this on obviously kind of like a larger scale as well. I mean, there's certain things like big record labels nowadays. They're not even really signing musicians. They're just signing
people.
They're signing
be a product.
they're signing social media influencers and putting a beat behind them and auto-tuning their voice and just trying to sell a product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why, as far as bringing it full circle back to Tabitha talk about her influences, it's pretty. I always love hearing like, where do you get your influences from? Like, who inspires you? Who wants you to keep going? The fact that she was saying that it's not Harambe. I said Harambe so much and I can't even think of it. Hiromi. That she feels inspired to write. She feels like she wants to get up and do something, and that's super cool.
Yeah, especially with like when she listens to First Aid Kit. Like that's like
Was it First Aid Kit that she said? I mixed that up. Okay.
Yeah. It's okay. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you're so
But
inspired,
now I'm probably gonna listen to First Aid Kit.
yeah, I know. That's the thing. I mean, if you're inspired to have like
It have to be good if it makes Tabitha want to write music.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I need to know what that sounds like.
someone so driven with such great work ethic who hears something and gets so inspired and is created to call an action for, like, wow, I hear this, I'm so inspired, I want to do something for myself. That's something super special that you can't really recreate. You just have to create.
Totally. You just gotta keep listening to that stuff.
Yeah, let's keep listening to what she has to say about Harambe.
Yeah. I think she's done talking
Oh,
about
no more Harambe?
No more.
All right.
Just please.
Okay.
Ever. All right, Tabitha, I got another question for you.
Yeah.
This one's a good one.
Uh-oh.
I hope you're ready. What is the most memorable, positive performance experience that you had? In other words, if you can recall a moment where you have played live where you're just like, this is what I want to do. Maybe if the first one, or if there's one that really set it in for you where you're like, I want to perform. Because I know you told me composition, like you were studying composition, but then you did the BA because you wanted to play more piano.
Oh man, that's hard.
Take your time. I can edit this.
Yeah, can you just pause it for
I can edit
like
the
an
dead
hour?
space that you're gonna put here.
The most memorable. Well, can I do one with Mona Lisa Tribe and one about piano? Like,
You as many as you want. And Mona Lisa's fine too. You can talk about them specifically.
I think for Mona Lisa Tribe, the first show that I felt really good about was in February, where we played at Respectables. Were you
Okay.
there? Did you come to that one?
I don't remember.
Probably not, because you hate us.
I don't hate you guys, first of all. And I'm still waiting on a shirt, by the way.
Okay.
Sarah, get on it.
Anyways, that show, I don't think we realized how many of our friends would actually come out and support us for that show, but they did. And the energy in the room was like nothing else I'd ever felt. I don't know how to explain. It was the first time we really felt like we were putting on a show. There was a good audience. We were getting like so much positive feedback and energy from the audience that I was like, oh man, I want to keep doing this. And we all felt that. So that was the first memorable Mona Lisa Tribe show for me. Piano, I can't say the first one because I've just been performing, since 9th grade probably. I will say a semi-recently fun performance was at the high school I work at, the benefit concert. I played one of my 20th century pieces, a toccata by Cacciaturian. That was a classical composer, but it was pretty cool because I knew those high school kids had never heard this piece before. Like, I'm sure no one in that, it maybe holds, I don't
Minds were
know.
blown.
Yeah, it holds maybe close to 1,000 people, and those high school concerts are packed. So it was just cool. It was a cool audience. It was a big audience, and I knew that they did not know what to expect, but they enjoyed it. And I like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Showing people something different.
Yeah, I always think it's a great feeling to be able to. I mean, when you perform like that and you feel those small moments, man, they feel so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to explain just by talking about it, But it really is just a vibe that you get, and it's so strong. Like when you perform live and you crush something, or you feel like you did at least, and people confirm that by giving you a big applause, or people are just going nuts over what you're doing or supporting what you're doing. There's nothing like that. I think.
Such a high.
Isn't it?
I always, like, right after I get off stage, I have so much adrenaline. I just want to get back on. Always. I'm like,
Right?
I want to do it all over again.
It's crazy because, like, all the stuff that we do on a regular basis is just like, we talk about it all the time. Just like all the menial work. There's so much, so many little things behind the scenes that are very non-musical.
Yes.
That we have to do just to play a performance, and it goes by like that.
So true.
And sometimes, like, we plan a show for months, we almost forget about it, and we're like, oh, I gotta deal with this person, I gotta talk to this, do that, and just coordinate everything, and then finally the show is done, we do it, and it's just like just a small. I just find it so interesting that such a small amount of time can mean so much for the amount of stuff that you do beforehand.
Yeah.
It's like it has to feel that good, like. It just has to. Like, I'm trying to explain to people that haven't had that experience, that really like music, but it's I think as an audience member you can feel that too, because I think it's it's a combined energy that is we're feeding off of each other.
Yes.
The audience
Oh,
and
definitely.
Because
Because it's so different when you're just playing piano or music for yourself versus playing it for another person.
Yeah, totally.
And then depending on their response to it, music is magical. It just creates magic.
Yeah, you know what to say about magic.
What?
It's just science that we don't understand yet.
All right. Well, music is science too. Math.
Yeah, it is
guess.
math.
But it creates
Sound math. Get it? It was like a double joke.
I don't want to laugh at that.
Because it was great. It's okay. You don't want to give me too much credit on the podcast. Are you ready, Jacob? We're rolling.
I'm ready.
Already.
Are we already recording?
Oh, yeah.
I move away from the microphone when I breathe. She's right. Of course she's right.
She's right about everything.
She's
Gosh
right.
darn it.
No, I mean it's pretty funny hearing her memorable gig at being at Respects of all places too. I mean we played there a few times. It's just the sound is interesting. So like
That's the best way anyone's ever put that.
When I got off when I got off stage, just like my ears were on the ground. They just like fell off my body. But so the fact that like she took her performance off, like when she like went off the stage, and she was just like, I just want to get right back up. Just like, I mean, kind of like I've already been talking about before, it just shows a lot about her work ethic, but it just really kind of is a testimony to be like, she's in the right career. This is really meant for her. Mm-hmm. It's magic.
Oh yeah, man. It was great kind of having that discussion with her. I think we hit some pretty cool points there, and yeah, that I still just like yeah, man. I forget sometimes, like, we're doing this podcast, we're not playing music,
Right?
I'm not thinking about like what the show is gonna feel like, but not every show feels stellar, but some of them are just like, you get off stage and you're just like, man, like, how do I do that again? How do I recreate that moment again?
And it's interesting when she was talking about just like her friends being there and stuff. I remember, excuse me, the last Helmsman release party we did, I was extremely sick. I had like all these crazy sweats. I had a lot of mental things going on too. That's like the shortest way of saying things. Yeah. And I nothing negative. My company put the show on together. And all the little things. So I was running around. I was really, really, really stressed out. Like I wasn't really enjoying it. And then even when I got on stage, like we clicked, we were gelling, we were good, but like I had like 100 tissues in my pocket because I kept blowing my nose and stuff. So I was like really, really sick. But just coming off the stage and talking to everyone in the crowd, there was no drama. There wasn't any like crazy drunk ordinance stories or arrests happening. I mean, everyone just had fun. People made friends that night too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
And I just stopped thinking for a second. I'm just like, that made me feel so much better. Like that cleared my head. Honestly, like I probably cleared my sinuses too, but it just made me feel so good. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, there's so much things that go on behind the scenes with these shows and musics. Even honestly, even like a bar gig, if you're going to eat at whatever restaurant, you see someone playing in the corner. I mean, there's so much work that goes into that for whatever 45-minute set he's doing that no one sees. But no, I just remember that me getting off stage, so I could definitely kind of relate it in a sense of just community, and that's huge. And that's like, well, you always kind of resonate and gravitate towards that, and it's definitely some sort of high. It's definitely some sort of magic.
Yeah, man, some of my favorite shows were not big deal showcase shows, really. I mean, like, I think most of the time it's just, and there's enough people in the audience where I'm like, I know these people, I see them all the time, and they're all here, and this is great.
Yeah.
You know? Another show that was a cool example was when Spread That Dub went to England. We played at in this village called Oakham.
Mm-hmm.
Really small place. Not a lot of people lived there. And they had this pub, and there was no stage or anything. It was just like they just cleared out this corner for us to play at. Mm-hmm. And we don't have any like live sound stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. So the bar owner and then like his friends and the people that are at the bar, they all went to like their houses and called everybody to go find stuff for us to play on.
Yeah.
And they all brought this stuff when like the amps were like terrible, you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
And like, you know, we're playing on like we got the vocals coming out of like an amp or something like that, like, you know. But everyone was like, the fact that like everyone went out of their way to try to piece together like some live sound for us so that we can do a show for them. Mm-hmm. Like, and they're paying us too, but like even still, like, you know, this place is not meant for live music, but like the fact that everyone was there ready to listen and ready to have a good time was just like, it was like the best feeling ever, because everyone was there, they were like up, like right in front of our faces, just like dancing and partying with us, and like we had a blast. And like I feel like we never played more passionately than we did that
really
night.
Did something happen that night as far as like power? Like, did a power surge happen or power issue?
No, we played a festival where Hunter used the wrong wattage.
That's what it was. That's the story I heard.
Blew his pedal board. So yeah, Hunter, don't do that ever again.
but no, I mean, even like simple things like that. I mean, I remember since I'm like very new at the whole singer-songwriter solo gigs. Recently I just played Guanabana's brunch, and I got off, and some guy, he had glasses on, sunglasses, so I couldn't really see his eyes, and he was just like, "Hey, I got a problem with you, kid." And I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay. I was just ready to be like, dude, if he says something stupid to me, I'm gonna take his food and just leave. But he was he's like, "I got a problem." I'm like, yeah, what's up?" And then he's just like, "So I've been seeing your set. I've been here the whole time." And sat down, got some food, got a beer, and he was like making it like way over dramatic. And I was like, that's the thing, like he was wearing sunglasses, so I couldn't really see his eyes, and you kind of like tell. Yeah, you can't really tell. And then I was waiting for him to say something stupid, so I was kind of like already had like a defense like blockage on, and he's just like, "So the thing is that's really upsetting, and a problem is when you stopped, I want more." And I'm like, oh my god, this guy. And then he's just like, he's like, "Seriously, man, I really enjoyed your set. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And then sometimes when people say that, you almost kind of get like to an autopilot sort of mode. I mean, and it's not nothing like egotistic. It's almost like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh, that means a lot. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So like I
You have
like
scripts.
Yeah,
like,
you
for
always have like
generalized responses that people give you.
right. So when he started saying that, I kind of was like on like the autopilot mode. I'm like, oh well, thanks, appreciate it. And it's like, no, I really mean it. And then he was saying stuff about, he's like, yeah, your original sounds, like I heard like a couple of your originals and it was just really cool. And then he said something like what did he say? He said he's like, I can tell you're having fun up there. And he's like, you have a form of humor in your originals the way you play them too. He's like, I'm not saying like it's like you have like I'm not saying they're humorous songs. I'm saying that I can tell you have a sense of humor and it kind of portrays in your songwriting. And I'm like, wow, that was a really good, like that was an awesome compliment. And the only reason that really resonated with me so well was the day before Mac Miller died. And he was a huge inspiration to me. I mean, people who don't know him that well know him as the white corny rapper kid from Pittsburgh, but that kid was like a
I thought Mac Miller was really good. He had
He
a
was
great choice in musicians. Some of the stuff he did was really good. I mean,
yeah, he was a full-blown
No problem,
musician.
Mac
He
Miller.
was an incredible musician. And a lot of these articles were describing him as like he had sense of humor in his music. He had humor. He had like his own personal touch, and you could see when he performed that. So for the fact that that guy said that to me, I was just like, I took a step back. I'm like, holy crap. And then he tipped me $15. And like, oh my gosh, I'm rich.
that's always oh, I get to eat today.
Yeah, I know, right? But like, so it's the big things and the small things always add up.
Yeah, and it's little things in between that keep it all together.
Yeah, it's falling in love with the journey.
That's all I got. That's the only. I don't have any more inspirational things to say.
Magic and Harambe. Let's see what's
Hashtag magic and
Hashtag magical Harambe. Let's see what else Tab's got to say.
So the next one is going to be like the opposite of the question I just asked you, which is like the most negative experience you've had with music in terms of performance. And the reason why I asked this question is because I think it's important for people. We're going to have, I am expecting to have other musicians listening to this and other music lovers and just people that are aspiring to do more with music. And I think it's important to hear everything, the good and the bad, because I feel like you got to put that into perspective to really make sure that you want to do it. We've been doing this despite these situations.
Yeah.
But I think they're also great learning experiences too.
Yes.
Especially if you take them that way. They may not feel like that at the moment it happened. They feel pretty bad, but I think they're important. So if you can divulge one of your most negative musical performance experiences.
There's just so many to think of.
Well, just pick one nice one that you
I will say I am a BSer when it comes to performing, because if you see me perform and we make a mistake, I do my very best to not let it on. So I think that's a really important part of being a performer. But that being said, I mean, I make a mistake every single time I perform. The big one, one that I always think back on, there's so many. Well, trying to think of the ones when I was younger obviously impacted me more, because the more you perform, the more you realize you're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. Even if you prepare, an amazing amount, most likely there's going to be mistakes, and you just get past that, and you realize them, and then you work on them and try and fix them so they don't happen the next time, and then new mistakes happen. It's just part of it. And that's what makes live music so cool, because like you get to go in to listen to live music, you get to hear someone like possibly make a mistake, and there's something that's kind of exciting about it. Victor Wooten talked about it when I went to see him. He said like people wouldn't watch a trapeze. No, is that the right word? The people that walk across the.
Well, like a tightrope?
Yeah, tightrope walker. People wouldn't watch that if they knew 100% that person's not gonna fall. Like there's a little bit like you kind of want the person to fall, and it's weird, but people watch live music the same. They're like. They're expecting it to sound great, but there's
a chance that it won't.
There's a chance someone might make a mistake.
I never thought about it that way.
Isn't it? People don't want you to fail. It's not like that. No one wants someone to fall off of the tightrope, but you kind of do. Anyways, back to the question.
Yeah, you still got to tell us this one particular moment.
Yeah, so when I was in ninth grade, my recital piece was "Flight of the Bumblebee," and
Oh, wow.
there was a talent show, and my mom had signed me up. It was not on my priority list, so I did not prepare the way I should have. And she had a friend there that was, I think, a professor at Stetson University, a music professor, and I just bombed it. And my mom is so supportive of me musically and just has really been there for me through it all. And she was just like, yeah, that was pretty bad. I think she actually said that was one of the worst times I've ever heard you play. But she said it in a sweet way.
Oh.
But she's great because she'll never lie to me about my performances. But yeah, that one I remember, and it just kind of fell apart, and got through it though. I'm still alive. Then I remember one when I was 15, I was singing in a community theater show. I was singing the song Popular from Wicked.
Oh, Wicked's great.
And at the very end of it, and my family was there at this show, my voice did a huge crack. It was really embarrassing. I thought I'd never get over it, but I did.
Well, you're sounding pretty good now.
Oh. My voice still cracks every once in a while.
Oh, well,
I just don't care anymore.
I don't hear it.
Oh.
Unless maybe I'm just not paying attention. But
Probably,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I'm paying attention. I'm never not. At least people think that I'm. Like I'm always there to scrutinize everyone's shows. I'm just like,
Watch the tightroper fall.
Yeah, that's what I get off on.
Yeah.
That's why I go to live shows. That's why I go to open mics also. Oh man, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
All right, so these negative experiences definitely impacted your musical growth one way or another. Mm-hmm. But is there anything else in particular that has impacted your musical growth that you might want to put more weight on? It could be a good thing. It could be just like an idea, or maybe something that you've worked on that you feel like is monumental towards what you do now. Or
I would say one thing, since I didn't realize this until college, which I can't believe I didn't realize it before, but actively
Shut your
listening.
mouth.
I did not
No.
actively listen to music until college. And by actively listening to it, I mean, doing nothing else but listening to the songs, and then like learning from it.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone usually passively listens, but especially because I started studying jazz in college, and I had a terrible swing. It was really, really terrible. And my teacher would just be like, listen, you obviously don't listen to jazz, because he could hear in the way I played, and I didn't. He was right. So that's one thing that's been huge in my musical growth. And it applies to my classical piano too. I started listening to the repertoire I was studying, and finding how other people were interpreting these pieces. Yeah, it helped so much.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that, because I feel like a lot of people just don't do that. Like,
Nope.
or a lot of people they'll play one genre that they really like, and they will try to incorporate other genres into their music without really listening to it. And then it just doesn't sound authentic, or doesn't sound, it just doesn't mesh as well, And I think keeping your palette open is great, but in order to do that, you really have to do what you're saying, which is actively listen. And I'm glad that you made that distinction too, because a lot of people are like, oh, I listen to music. And I'm like, yeah, working out or jogging while you do it, or putting it on your car, or partying with friends and playing in the background. Isn't really you actually listening. It's just part of the scope of what you're experiencing at that time.
Yeah, and that's fine to do.
Yeah.
We all do that as well. But especially if you're a musician who's trying to be serious about music, you have to actively listen.
Yeah, it's like reading a book. You know what I mean? Like, you have to just sit there and just focus on listening and dissect a piece of music. A lot of times that's how I get some of my favorite licks. It's just like, I'll sit down, I'll listen to a record. I'll make sure, like, if I'm going to listen to something, if I am going to do something, it's something very menial, like that I don't have to put a lot of like mental energy into.
Yeah.
That way I can just listen. Like usually it's like folding clothes is like my favorite thing to like if I want to listen to a record all the way through, like I'm like I'm gonna fold some clothes to this. Like,
That's funny.
yeah, I'm just like, okay, here we go. And,
But you really should listen.
because I hate folding clothes, so that's why I like. So it's like, oh, I can listen to this dope record while I do it, and then like sometimes I forget to finish folding clothes. Sometimes I'm just sitting there, just like observing everything that I'm doing.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That it's hard to actively listen for me in the car because I think it's best to do it while you have access to your instrument, just in case you're like, whoa, I want to see if I can transcribe that really quick and play that. You can't do that in the car. I mean, maybe you can with the saxophone. You could
I'm not even gonna
drive
try.
and play.
I can't even play it in this apartment, so I'll have to go somewhere else to do it. So, but I try to make mental notes of things that I like, and I try to use apps to kind of save segments of a song that I would want to play back.
Oh, cool.
And I use this app called Amazing Slowdowner, and yeah, you should get on that.
Yeah, but that's cheating, slowing it down.
I think if I was Jazz 150s and I had this option, I think I would take it. I would sound so much better than everyone else.
Agree to disagree.
But I don't, anyways. But I think it's a great tool to use to just, make your practice really efficient. For myself, it matters because I have to go out of my way to go to a place to practice. So I want to make sure like I'm going to go there knowing what I'm going to do. So that app helps me be able to just kind of make sure I'm just getting right into the meat of what I want to get done.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, totally. So just a little quick recap there. Active listening, making sure that you are listening to music with
Purpose.
Yeah, with purpose. And you're studying it, like reading, like like you did in class. If you did that, I know I didn't, but I should have. Ooh, there's some good stuff in that one.
The voice cracks. Ugh. I get those, even though I'm still a noob at the whole singing thing. But yeah, how she's just like, I thought I could never get over it, but hey, I got over it. I mean, I could think of a time where I was playing guitar and this guy came up to me during my break. He's like, hey. I'm like, hey. And then he's like, yeah, you guys are good, but I heard that one song you were doing, you kind of messed up here. And I thought he was kind of kidding. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, I mess up all the time. It's not really a big deal. But like, he wouldn't really let it go. I thought it was really weird. And it was to the point where I was like, all right, fuck you and fuck off. And I literally told that to his face, like, and I'm like, whatever. And I fucking walked away. I'm like, screw you. But I mean, of course, I wasn't like, oh, whatever, I'm all high and mighty, but I knew I made the mistake, and I was kind of thinking about it. And then it wasn't really till I started singing, I started really paying attention to my guitar playing. Because
that's important. Your time and your guitar.
Yeah, my timing, my guitar,
the pace for your voice.
Oh, absolutely. But I didn't really like particularly like lead lines. So like I'll like watch old videos if I'm soloing, doing something. I'm like, wow, that is really busy. There's no like breath or air in between the notes. It's not really melodic. It sounds like I'm running up and down a scale with a delay behind it. It sounds it does not. It's not me. So I loved how she kind of talked about like active listening, and in a sense with me, it wasn't until like I started singing where I was like really active listening, but also active just paying attention to how am I playing, and then just kind of like taking key notes, and then just like almost like studying it like it's like a damn football game that you just played, and you're like going back and looking at your practices and your runs and stuff. But no, active listening is like huge. And then even like talking to Josh Miles, who's like he's a big influence for me. Just talking to Josh Miles about like one of my big questions and what I've struggled with is just like finding melodies, finding melodic things in like songwriting and vocals. Since I'm still new at singing, I kind of find that's like a little bit harder for me. And he was telling me it's just like honestly just listening to a lot of music, and particularly listening to like instrumentation stuff like of like saxophones.
Yeah, that was he brought that up at was it Art and the Artist?
Yeah, coming soon.
For Musicians Daily.
Yeah,
just throw that. I'm gonna plug that for you so you don't have to. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
But no, that was a great response that Josh Miles gave to that, which was just like you know, like I am a vocalist, so it's important to listen to other vocalists. But for good melody, vocalists aren't the only people that sing melodies. There's saxophones, horn instruments,
guitar,
guitar lines. Exactly. And he's right. I mean, even for myself, like on saxophone, I listen to a lot of vocal melodies, and like I'll work out vocal lines.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's verses, I still want to try to sing that and like try to do the same thing that they do, you know? And it definitely, especially when I play by myself or I play with my trio, that stuff is like, you know, obviously I'm the melody, so I have to carry that out. And it's very helpful towards that, to make that presence known and to be very declarative like that, you know. And Josh Miles is the king of that locally, I think.
Oh, yeah, easily, yeah.
I mean, I should just transcribe Josh Miles' vocal lines is what I should do after this. But yeah, the active listening thing is like, we could just if we could talk about this every single podcast, it'd probably be like such an important concept to hammer down.
I really liked what you guys talked about as far as like how to approach active listening of music. I mean, some people prefer driving, and some people are like, I don't really feel like I can listen to really dive into this album while I'm driving. Like something with you, you're like, I like doing laundry, folding socks, because I wouldn't really do it any other way. But
yeah, totally, man. And at Tabitha, I like what she said about like having your
instrument
do it. For me, like, I mean, obviously I mentioned like, you know, in my apartment situation, I can't really play here because it's too loud, but I like just listening to a record preemptively, like without the intent of actually trying to work things out.
Yeah.
To really kind of, I like to try to sing everything on the record, at least the stuff that I really want to learn. And like I'll play the record a couple times over, you know what I mean, before like I want to sit down and actually work it out. I find for myself that it's like I become the most productive when I'm actually like, I know the record pretty well and I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, knowing where the parts are that I want to go, so I can go right into what I'm doing. Or, you know, I just cut straight to where I want to work out something. But I also find that, like, because I can sing the melodies, it's easier for me to figure it out. Because, like, singing it is part of you figuring it out. Like, it's part of that aspect, you know?
Yeah, it's showing your engagement to the track, to the record, or whatever. That's why I really liked how she said it's nice to kind of have an instrument in the room, because if you're hearing something as like you're cleaning or cooking or doing whatever, and you're like, ooh, hold the phone real quick. Just grab this, and you're like, oh, yes. And then, like, what do you know? Like, it's like an hour later and your dinner's burnt. But hey, like, you just
got something really dope.
You got something sick. You don't got dinner, but you got some cooking melody lines, and you're inspired. I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, there's been times where, yeah, you're right. Like, I'll take a record or a track and just listen to it, just not to think about it. Just kind of sit there, listen to it. And then if I hear something I really like, I won't like. I would want to pause and rewind it, but I'm like, no, just listen to it first as the consumer or whatever. And then if like I really, really like, man, that was sick, immediately right after I'll replay it.
Totally.
And then just like, and that's when you know there's something special there with the song.
Yeah, man. The more you listen to something, you know, you're doing work, the easier it is for you to figure it out. And the closer you're getting to understanding that piece of music that you're trying to, you know, internalize for yourself. And, you know, and all that goes into just trying to create your own sound as a musician. You got to take from all these, you know, things. You know, that's how Tabitha does it. You know, that's how she says she does it. She, you know, she listens to first A Kid, and then like she she gets
she wants
stuff that she draws from.
She wants to get up and do it. She wants to get up and go, and that's awesome. I mean,
and the more you do it, the more it becomes a routine and a habit, you know. And that's something I definitely want to talk about in a future podcast. There's like habits and routines, and like what makes like, you know, like maybe day in the life of a musician or something like that.
Yeah,
that'd
it's
be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I already know some good people to bring on the podcast for that.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap up what Tabitha has to say. I think we have a few more things, but all this stuff towards the end is like super juicy stuff.
It better be good, because I'm here and I'm listening to her. I mean, she already talked about Harambe enough. I mean, let's.
Oh, this is my favorite question to ask people. No, I think you're gonna like it. So,
make it juicy.
I like to think that we are. You know, like, I'm not saying we're famous musicians, but we're working musicians. We're doing it successfully.
Yes.
Right? You do it full time, basically.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Without a doubt. Okay, great. Just wanted to make that clear.
I've never made money doing anything else.
All right, you can stop bragging now. No, it's cool. Everyone has their own walk of life. It worked out for you. I mean, playing piano definitely is.
Piano is so different than other instruments in
Yeah.
terms of being able to find work. Because as an accompanist, piano is the instrument that all other instruments need. So, voice, saxophone.
This is true.
So
I
there's
need
more work for pianists, I do think.
Yeah, I feel
I
like
don't know.
piano players, bass players, drummers, anything like rhythm section. You're guitar. You're pretty good. I feel like there's so many more guitarists than anything else though. So I feel like the amount of guitarists there are kind of makes it work against itself. Sometimes. But definitely just really studied piano players. Because there's people that play, but there's also piano players that really play, and you can hear the difference, at least for me. But that being said, there's plenty of, like I said before, this podcast is geared towards people that love music, people that are trying to aspire to do better in our local community, and maybe other people listening outside of this might take something from it. But we've played for a long time now, and and we've done a lot of shows with other bands, right?
Yeah.
What are the things that you have seen? Maybe you can think of one, like the biggest, like most common mistake that you see other musicians or bands make.
I do have something to say about this.
Yes, I knew you would. I can't wait to hear it. Listen up, everybody.
I think that, man, okay, let me make sure I say this right. So I think that people who are musicians that are wanting to do this full time, they don't understand that their musical ability and talent is not the most important thing. That's not what's going to get them hired. If you can't show up on time, and if you don't have a reputation of being reliable, you're not going to make it. Even if you are better than, if someone is the best piano player in town, but they have a reputation that sometimes they don't come to the gigs that they committed to, people are going to hire the second and third and maybe the fourth and fifth best pianist over them any day. And that's what I tell my PBA students too. I'm like, your reputation is everything. And it starts here. It starts in college. It can start in high school even. So once you get a bad reputation for not showing up on time or this or that, mistakes happen. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, consistently maybe having a negative connotation with your musical work that has nothing to do with music. If that's going on, then you're not going to make it. Harsh. I don't know. Is that harsh?
No, I think that's right on the money. I think, this is what I want the podcast to be. Is just, people need to know what it actually takes to be a musician. I feel like a lot of times they think like having the passion and having fun and having friends go to their shows, and that's part of it. But if you really want to do it, if you really want to make that, if you really want to get gigs, if you really want to make a living doing it, you got to kind of look a little harder at yourself and ask yourself these types of questions. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And this is one of the non-musical things that you have to think about to be good at music, So it's not musical, but it's also musically related, and that's just as important.
It's hard because musicians tend to have type B personalities that are more laid back, relaxed, go with the flow. That's like the stereotype, of course. It's just a stereotype. But
it is just a stereotype.
But to be successful, you have to overcome that. I am naturally a late person, a very late person.
I feel like I'm just a little bit later than you though.
It's only because I've really had to work on it. So I've been, I would say, a professional musician since I graduated college, which is almost 5 years ago. And since then, I've just come to realize how important it is to be on time. And I'm still not perfect at it, but that I really, really work hard on that. And because I realize if I get a reputation of showing up late, that's it. I'm not going to get hired at a lot of other gigs. The second thing I would add on to that, that's just equally as important, is being good with people. You have to know how to work with others. And yeah, you have to know how to work with the people that are hiring you, how to work with your bandmates, how to be able to deal with conflict, how to compromise, when to not maybe compromise. It's all of these little things that have nothing to do with music that will actually end up making you successful.
Nice. Is what ways can, people are listening to this, they understand what we're saying. What's one thing that you can do right now to kind of turn things around or maybe to improve on this aspect if it's something that they're struggling with? It's a lot. There could be a lot of little things involved in this, but maybe there's one thing that they can kind of key in on first that would help them kind of get in the right track of, solving this issue.
Well, one thing, sometimes some of my PBA students will forget when they're assigned to perform. And I just look at them and I say, not to call out any names. Usually most of them are great, but so I'll just look at them. I'll be in a coaching session with them. I'll say, pull out your phone, put in your performance date, set an alarm for maybe the day before or an hour before. No, a week before maybe. Then put another one in your phone. I don't know, just put up reminders. If you're bad at remembering certain things, put reminders in your phone. Just do it. Don't think about doing it. Do it.
Nice. A little hot take for you on that. Use your technology to your advantage, not to your own demise. Sweet. Great. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. It's a nice little chunk of information that people can definitely use.
Hopefully.
All right, Jacob, you can talk now. I know you were just at the edge of your seat. You seemed like you really had some couple things you wanted to say after listening to that.
Oh boy, let me tell you. No, no, she's absolutely right. And this is a really good question that you asked her. I'll put it kind of in this way. Brian Bianco, however you say, from Southside Dub. You remember that band, right?
Yeah.
The front man of that band. When I did an interview with him for Meet Musicians Daily, one of the biggest advice he said to upcoming musicians is check the ego at the door immediately. I mean, just check it at the door. If you think you're like the best and you think you're pretty much like a god, a king going in there, I mean, you're not going to be asked back. It's going to show. People are going to look at you and be like, wow, who does this guy think he is, sort of thing. I mean, of course, when you start thinking you're all great, you can kind of like slip away doing things like, maybe I'll just end like 5 minutes early, even though I was told to end at 10 o'clock, 9:55, whatever. I'll just end it right now. Maybe you're just not paying for certain, like your bar tab, or maybe you're showing up being late, and maybe you're not even just kind of being respectful to kind of like other people too, just because you think you're so good, like, oh, I'm so good, my talent's going to give me this gig. Well, yeah, let me tell you, and especially coming from like Tabitha and even you, two extremely talented musicians, that's not always the case. I mean, look at me. I'm definitely not the best musician ever, but I got a cute face, chubby waist, thick legs, in shape, rump shaking both ways, make you do a double take. I mean, I'm not Fergalicious, Definitious. I'm kidding. But
wow.
No, I know. Thank you. Hold the applause.
Impressed.
Hold the applause. I know the whole song. But no, I mean, I'm nothing special. I'm a nobody. But I mean, I've been in this area for pretty much my whole life. I've been gigging out since I was 16, and I have such a desire for community and relationships and creating. And I just, exactly what you said, just do it. Just go do it. Think of Shia LaBeouf. Like,
don't think about it.
Yeah,
just do it.
Just do it. But I mean, but seriously, I mean, being a musician now, you kind of have to have some entrepreneurial business mind for sure. Probably. I mean, you gotta definitely be thinking that way. But a lot of people, I've had a lot of people come up to me like, "Oh my gosh, Jacob, you're like quite the entrepreneur," and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, nah, dude, it's entrepreneur. I mean, like it's nothing. I mean, people think like being this entrepreneur like type of musician, it's like, oh, I'm gonna reach this status, so I don't have to work for anyone else. I can just do my own thing. I don't have to listen to anybody. I can just focus on. I mean, Yeah, but you're not thinking about everything in between, the journey, the relationships you build, like finding out your failures to learn from your failures. I mean, knowing what to do, what not to do, making special connections, learning from other people, like listening instead of just hearing. So all those little things, it's really just kind of like being a sponge in a sense. Like like every gig, there's always something to take from and learn from.
Yeah, definitely. Just I had a lesson with a student recently, and I told him he's got an audition coming up, so I told him to play I told him to play the easiest scale that he can play.
Mm-hmm.
So he played his F major scale, so on tenor saxophone, and he plays it up and down. And I go, okay, what could you have done to improve on that? He's like, nothing. And I'm like, really? I was like, are you sure about that? So we listened back to it, and he was able to point some stuff out. I was like, all right, play it again. And he played it again. All right, we'll listen back. Okay, now what could you have done better? And he still pointed out some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we played a third time. And, I go, how about what could you have done now? And he goes, well, I could have, so he's getting the idea of what I'm trying to relay to him. And so then I play the scale.
Mm-hmm.
I go up and down. I go, what did I do wrong? And he goes, nothing. You sounded great. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I did this wrong. I played this. I did that false start on this note. When I got to it, I was slightly out of tune on this note. And he's like, I didn't even hear that. And I'm like, because there's always something you can be doing to improve, no matter how easy it feels.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude that I think any person should be having with anything that they do. Is just because something feels easy doesn't mean you can't be doing something to make it better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that way you're not even like ridiculing your student or playing like a manipulative mind game, like, oh, I'm the teacher, you're the student. I'm gonna make you like keep redoing this, so just to prove a point that I'm the teacher and you're the student, sort of thing. No, you're taking that, and then how you flipped it on yourself too, like, watch me play this, and then kind of like told him that. It's a really good learning point. I mean, in a cheesy way to relate it, it's almost like you think I'm thinking the Karate Kid, wax on, wax on, wax off, like painting the damn fence, and then Daniel's son's just like, this is stupid, it's not gonna help me, and then the guy's like, watch this, and he like punches him, and he's like, act like you're painting, hiya! It's like, what's up? But I mean,
it's Karate Kid now.
You're definitely the sensei in Karate Kid. But I mean, no, there's always room to improve. I mean, even if like you think like, yeah, even in this, like if you think like, no, like I'm doing everything correctly, then you really need to like reevaluate yourself. You really need to kind of take a step back. Maybe you need to even like talk to like an outside source and be like, hey, what do you think of this original? I think it's perfect, and that's how I know it's wrong. Or just like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? I mean, there's also a sense of just like having too many like ears influencing. You're not even like thinking for yourself in a sense, but just having that understanding of you're not perfect, no one's perfect. And the whole sense of check your ego at the door, because yeah, she's exactly right. If you're not reliable, who's gonna like?
It doesn't matter how good you are if you can't show up to the gig on time.
Exactly. I mean,
you can't show up to the gig at all. We can't hear how great you are if you're not at the gig that you're supposed to be at. Or at the rehearsal that you're supposed to be at.
How's the top car salesman not gonna? How's he gonna sell a car if he's not there?
Yeah,
sort of thing. I mean, that doesn't like make sense.
Yeah, or if he shows up late to his appointment and like now, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you just can't. It's a simple thing, and this will help you out in life. In many, like this is like a life thing to me. Like it's not just a music thing; it's a life thing. Like show up on time to stuff. Like it sounds so simple. Like, yeah, I know, but like no, really. Like you have a gig, you need to set up all your stuff. You have to set up your PA system. You have to do a sound check. You got to go and talk to the staff and make sure everything's cool.
Yeah.
If there's any announcements that you want to make.
Yeah, and that's going the extra mile. I mean, a lot of people
always something you can be doing, and that's why and not only that, but it just sets a great example. Like if one band shows up 20 minutes before they're supposed to play it and does everything, and another band shows up over an hour, which one do you think is going to be more likely to be booked at the same place?
Exactly. And
the
then
person that gives them the less headache. That's who.
yeah. And then you're also dealing with people like that. you want to be able to go in, be professional, not leave everything on fire, and just like having the place like a wreck when you leave. Just like get in, kind of get out, but make relationships when you do it and be respectful. I mean, yeah, talking about like real life scenarios. I have no idea if this friend of mine is listening to this. If he is, hello. But he used to work. He had a job which required him to kind of get up in the morning, and he hated it. And he was like, "Man, I'm not a morning person," and all this stuff. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a musician," but he was telling me
the crack of noon.
Yeah, right. And he was telling me, he's like, "Man, like I'm not a morning person, so like I'd get there like just like 5-10 minutes late, and then like they'll just be like chewing me out and all this." I'm like, yeah, because you were 5 or 10 minutes late to the job that you're getting paid for.
And if it's something that happens regularly,
yeah,
then
I mean, it's exactly what Tabitha said. Life happens, and with that case, you don't want to abuse your track record and be like, "Oh my gosh, I actually have an emergency this time." It's like, well, did you have an emergency the last month of gigs you did? No. Every single time. No. So he was just kind of saying like, he's like,
you can't use all the good excuses like over and over again.
Exactly.
They just become bad excuses.
Yeah. He's like, man, I'm not a morning person, and I'm like, dude, but like you agreed to do this job, you knew the time, and you should be getting there 5 minutes before and just waiting for the owner to get there and say, "Hey man, is there anything you want me to do before we even get started with the job or whatever? I mean, I could do this, I could do that." Just like, yeah, that's like the whole difference of like your opponent's working 10 hours and you should be working 13 in a sense. But
I think I don't know, for myself, like I've worked part-time jobs and I still do on occasion. And I mean, it just I show up and I might show up a few minutes late here or there, or stay on, but I'm usually on time as much as I can be,
And when you're running,
and I let people know in advance, communication is key.
Yeah. When
you're running, I'm not obscenely late. Like I understand the job requirements, so I know where the point is where like they're going to be pissed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I never cross that line.
Yeah.
You go, why would you do that?
Yeah.
If you need the money, I know it's not the favorite job in the world. And this is for plenty of musicians, because there's plenty of musicians that have to work a part-time job and they hate it. They have to get up early. And it sucks, but this is what you got to realize. You're the one deciding to do this job, and you're making an agreement with another person to honor that, and so you put the responsibility on yourself to do it, which means you should just do the job the best to your ability. Why would you do it bad? Why would you risk not being able to work, because every time that happens and you have to find a new job, you're making it harder for yourself to do that, which makes it harder for yourself to if you're looking for, you're going to have to keep looking for new jobs all the time. That's less time that you're putting into music. So just keep a stable job, do what you're supposed to do. And then you can save the money and do what you got to do to, actually do the things that you want to be doing with your life, instead of making, tying your hand behind your back and having unnecessary excess issues accrue from just you not putting the full effort or taking something seriously.
Yeah.
And if you're, like Tab said, if you have a chronic problem of like, it's an issue and you want to resolve it of not showing up on time, think about the ways you can actually like do it instead of like sulking over it or getting upset. Like, it's good to be upset or disappointed in yourself that you're not doing something. I understand that. But at some point you have to take action.
Yeah.
You have to hold yourself accountable and be like, I really can't be doing this. What can I do? What can I do that will make me show up and do what I'm supposed to be doing in a timely fashion? Maybe the alarm clock is not what's best for you. Maybe you have to change something that you do the night before. Maybe you don't stay out as late. Maybe you don't drink as much at the end of the night. Maybe you don't eat ice cream and give yourself a stomachache and you just pass out. You know what I mean? Like, there could be something else that can make it easier for you to actually get up earlier.
And the fact that she is doing that with her students kind of shows her character and shows how she is as a teacher. And that's awesome that she is just willing to be like, oh, you don't know what in your own performance is? I mean, when I heard that just now, I'm like, are you kidding me?
I got like flashbacks from some hardcore teachers back in the day.
Well, you heard, yeah. I mean, you heard me when I first heard that. My initial, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't know, like, what the heck? I mean, just like I'm super old fashioned. I have like an actual planner I always carry with me, and I handwrite stuff.
Nerd.
Because that's the it's nerdy, but it's the way my brain works. I know that I have that tactile hand and pencil physically writing down the thing. That's the way my brain works. I mean, I have a handful of learning disabilities and learning challenges, and it sucks. I mean, I've always been a C student my entire life, and I actually thought I was stupid for a long time throughout like elementary and middle
You're not
school.
stupid, Jacob.
Thank you, Marcus. It means a lot coming from you. But I mean, I took action to myself. I'm like, I learn differently than other people. I get music and I get that, and I kind of get relationships and people. I mean, I may not get other things, and I might have short-term memory loss in some senses, but how can I fix that? What can I do for myself? That's the thing. Tabitha's not always going to be there for her students because her students are going to graduate. I mean, of course, in the classroom. Of course, yeah, right.
No, they're probably all gonna.
No. I mean, yeah, I worded that weird, but I mean,
No,
Tabitha will always be there for her students. But what's going to happen when her students graduate? I mean, like it's those skills that she's teaching them. She should have definitely learned. Like, you should learn those skills. No one's going to be telling you to do it. You got to do it for yourself.
Not in the real world.
Yeah.
Not when you're on your own. Like, you know, none of your other bandmates are going to tell you what time you need to show up for rehearsal or what time you need to show up before the gig. Like, it's your responsibility. If you don't know, then it's your responsibility to ask.
Yeah, to ask or find out. I mean, even if it's like the 5th time you're asking because you
It's
forgot.
better than not being sure.
Or being an hour late, not showing up. Even be like, hey, like this is super embarrassing. I'm sorry. Like the last text message got deleted and I forgot to write it down. Can you remind me one more time about like when we're supposed to meet up? And then, yeah, I mean, it's just little things like that. You got to do it for yourself. And that's the whole thing with having like a side job for your main job. And that's the whole like musician entrepreneur lifestyle mentality. If you want it, that's the whole thing. You want it. Like your mom and dad don't want it. Your friend doesn't want it. You have to want it. No one's going to be making you do it. So yeah, Tabitha is going to be there for her students, but when her students move on and graduate, those skills that she's teaching, they're going to have to do for themselves. That's a better way to word it.
Yeah.
On my part.
Yeah, no worries. We'll have to edit this like 5 times, but it's okay. Let's
keep it raw and real. That's the Dank Coalition for you.
What do you got coming up? Is there anything really cool that you want to share with everybody?
We have a lot of local shows coming up, and we are also in the midst of recording songs. So,
ooh.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into that. You should have a whole podcast. We might have to bring you back on that. Mm-hmm. I'm learning a lot. Actually, Jacob's band, the Helmsman, is we're recording at the Helms house. So we're recording with Derek, which is pretty cool. Local musicians, supporting local musicians.
Yeah. It's funny because it's definitely a theme in our podcast so far.
Cool.
Has been just, you know, one of the main things that me and Jacob talked about is how much like, you know the best local musicians because we're always going to each other's shows.
Yeah.
We're wearing each other's shirts. Like we're all our own biggest fans.
That's so true.
But it's like authentic too. Like it's not like we're just doing that just cause. It's because we actually like what we've been doing.
Yeah.
You know, musically.
And you know how much work goes into it. So when you see someone else doing it, you're like, man, you really appreciate it.
Yeah. So you buy that CD, you buy that shirt that I'm still waiting on.
Yeah. You know what? I
bring that up again.
Well, I recently.
Not that I'm upset or anything about it. It's just
my
like,
God. You know. Something I started doing is like, you know what? Even if I do know the band and could somehow sneak in the back, I actually want to pay the cover.
Yes. No, you're totally right.
Once I started playing for venues where we got paid just based off the cover, I was like, maybe I should even pay more than the cover.
Ooh.
Okay, I haven't done that, but but I do, you know, that's just one way to support each other.
Totally. Yeah, just give them money. Give us your money, and then that's it. That's all you really have to do. So Mona Lisa Tribe has got a new record that's being worked on right now, and it's being worked on in the Helm House. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea when that's going to be released?
We're going to release, I think at this moment, we're still kind of figuring it out, but 2 singles are going to be coming out in the very near future, maybe the next month or so.
Okay. Nice.
That's how we're gonna do it. That's a whole nother thing to think about nowadays with this
Oh, singles versus albums.
singles versus albums. Do we
Ooh.
do a EP? We have maybe I think about 12 songs that are ready musically to release. So right now we're just we just have to record them. So once we have those 12 songs, what do we do? Release 12 singles? Do we put them in 3 separate EPs? Do we do one full-length album? I don't know. We're still figuring it out.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think you can go either way. I think it's like as you start to understand like your following and what they want, you
Yeah.
can start catering towards that more.
That's a good point.
I think doing smaller chunks, smaller releases is a little bit better just because you can release 12 songs at once and then like that happens and then that's it though.
Yeah.
The hype is gone. Now people want more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool and all, but in the beginning, there's so much financing that goes into doing all this stuff that it's not easy to pay for all that and record it and do that conveniently,
Yeah.
But once you start getting some momentum early on, then it's a lot more sustainable to do that. You can release a full album because you have the financial backing, just through just what you've worked on over time to get there to do that,
I also want each song to have attention too. That's really important to me. I don't want to release 10 songs and then 3 of them become popular. I want them all to be all to be listened to. Some are gonna inevitably be better, but yeah, I don't want it. You remember how it was when we used to buy CDs and it was like,
yeah, you just bought like the CD for like the 1 or 2 songs on the record that was awesome, and then you didn't really care about the other ones.
So I will say releasing less might give.
Unless you're Herbie Hancock, then you just listen to all of it.
Oh, Herbie.
Yeah, you just go back and just listen to just each song. You're like, oh, crap, I didn't know this song.
So good.
Yep, so too good. But yeah, I feel you on that. It's always a kind of head scratching thing to do for artists now because it's it's the options on us to do it, but it's hard to know if that's the right thing to do or not. So it's for me, I just think it's like it's just a fun thing to just figure out. Like you're just part of the experience.
Yeah, that's true.
I think a lot of times musicians we work on something so much we want every little thing that we do to be a big deal. But we don't really control that so much. Like that's not up to us to make the song a big deal.
Yeah.
It's up to the listeners to make a song a big deal.
It's up to us to make a song good enough to be a big deal.
To even be considered to be a big deal.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, totally. And then, that's I feel like that's just our job and we just need to leave it at that,
Yeah.
Sometimes I know a lot of musicians that will just stay in the studio and songs just stay in the studio and they never get released because they want it to be perfect. And for me, I'm just like,
I'm the opposite. I'm like, I'll put on GarageBand. I'll just release it
Yeah.
now if it was up to
Release
me.
it myself. I don't got time for this.
They get the general idea.
If it's bad, I need to know now. Cool. Well, I wish you the best of luck on all that.
Dang.
I think those are all the questions I got. I don't have anything else here.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, this was pretty sweet. Oh, I got one more thing for you though.
Okay.
So, we've talked about Mona Lisa quite a bit. Where can people go to listen to your stuff? Where? Tell them where to put their internet attention on for you.
First of all, follow us on Instagram because we post on there pretty much every day, and we have our upcoming shows. And when we do release those new songs, I'm sure we'll post about it a bunch. So Instagram, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, all the normal places. And yeah, Facebook, I guess if you're older, but
what's your tag for Instagram?
At Mona Lisa Tribe.
No spaces?
No spaces.
I'm glad that wasn't taken.
Me too. I just saw on YouTube, I was watching a video and there was one I recommended that was Mona Lisa Duo. I think it was.
What?
I was like, oh, that was, they almost got us. Not quite.
Oh, that would have been a close one. And then Facebook is the same thing, just Facebook at Mona Lisa Tribe.
Yeah, simple.
You got any YouTube stuff on there or no?
Yeah, actually, if you look us up on YouTube, we did a professional music video
What?
with Dream Machine recording.
I don't know. I
Studios.
didn't know about this.
People like you, yeah.
What?
It is really cool. When we were filming it, I was like, oh man, I hope this doesn't come across as cheesy. Not account of Dream Machine, but on account of like us, because it just feels awkward. But it is cool. It is a great video. I would recommend checking out Dream Machine. They're awesome. And Marcus, I can't believe you haven't seen it yet. Wow. You say you're a fan, and now I know the truth.
Well, I've seen your Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah, no, this is way better.
Oh,
Way better.
I don't know.
This is high quality.
It was pretty funny. I liked it.
This is funnier and better. So yeah, there's that on YouTube.
All right, so basically, put in Mona Lisa Tribe, and you'll find Tabitha and the rest of the girls doing their thing.
My personal website, tabithameeks.com, if you want to hear my piano stuff.
Nice.
Jazz,
if you
classical.
want some
Lessons, yeah.
if you're getting married,
Married.
Or divorced.
Dying. Funerals, I play.
you just want a piano player to play for you while you have brunch.
I do a lot of Christmas concerts.
Really?
I get hired so much to come play Christmas carols for people.
That sounds
at
pretty
their
cool.
Christmas parties, yeah. December I'm packed.
And they usually have like a piano at their house.
Yeah, that they never play, or maybe the pedal is broken, but they don't tell me beforehand. Anyways, yeah, it's cool.
No big deal. Just if you hire Tabitha, make sure your piano works.
It doesn't have to be in tune. Every time I go to a house, they're like, they all say, "I'm so sorry, it hasn't been tuned in a while." Like that doesn't bother me if it's slightly out of tune.
But
If
the
the
pedal not
pedal
working,
doesn't work, that's happened twice now. That really sucks for pianists.
I didn't know what the big deal was until like I took piano classes in college and like realized, man, this sustain pedal is like the best
It's
thing
a
ever.
lifesaver.
It really is. So, yeah, make sure that sustain pedal is on point. I have a question for you. What are the other two pedals?
Let's see.
I don't remember.
Sometimes I even get the names confused. There's
Uh-oh.
damper, the sustain, the damper, and the uno cordo, something like that. Anyways, the one on the farthest left makes everything quieter. The one in the middle sustains the lower notes, and the higher ones are not. And then the one on the right sustains everything.
Wow.
That one's definitely the sustain pedal. Yeah.
No, for sure. I could tell you that. Wow. Well, my mind's been blown on that. Just $1 million questions I'm throwing out there.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Well, Tabitha, I just want to, on behalf of the Dank Coalition podcast and its listeners, I want to thank you for your contributions to the South Florida music scene, specifically West Palm music scene, for all the awesome work that you've been doing. And just being an innovator in new original music, and
thanks,
my
Marcus.
ears appreciate it.
Thank you. I am obsessed with Public Sounds Collective, equally Marcus's band. So
Okay,
There we
I
go.
didn't have to do the shameless plug myself. I appreciate that, Tabitha.
mutual love here.
Great. Well, thanks again for coming on and just doing this with us.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was mainly because the dryer is still going, so.
I should probably switch it.
Yeah, now's a good time to do that.
Yeah,
so
one
we're
more
gonna
load.
get off now and just finish. It's done. Tabitha needs to go and get her clothes out of the dryer. All right, have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Man.
What do you think about my interview with with Tabitha?
Do I still have my job or am I fired?
I mean, we'll talk.
Okay.
I'll have my people contact your people.
Perfect. We'll figure that out later. But no, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I can't wait for the record to come out. I mean, once she's just said, yeah, we have this music video. I'm like, what? And I took out my phone.
Yeah, I know, you saved it immediately.
Yeah. I put it up. I'm gonna watch it after this. But I liked. It's awesome. It's just there's so much talent in this area, and there's so much going on in this area too, especially like in the music aspect of things. You almost just forget sometimes that like, I mean, everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different life going on. And just someone like Tabitha, even though her band might be fairly new in the scene, but she's been a working, grinding musician her whole life, and it definitely has shown. I mean, like, look, I mean, the band's been together for less than a year, and just they played Bumblefest. That's incredible. And she's working, doing the record, and she's doing everything the right way. And I liked how you guys talked about as far as releasing music, just like certain ways to do it. And she was just very
that's a tricky one.
Yeah, she was open to it because I mean, there's definitely different ways to do it. Like as far
more so now than there was before.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
Like back in the day, it was pretty straightforward. Like, find a record label, don't suck, and like maybe you'll get your, maybe they'll sign you, and then hopefully, a bunch of radio stations play your stuff, and like, you get booked a tour, and all these things fall into place very systematically.
Uh-huh.
Where now it's like open range, and just like you're just like, what do I like? I don't know what's the right move now. Like no one knows.
I mean, if you're
nobody knows.
Yeah, right. The status of being like an A-list celebrity, like I mean, Drake, Eminem, and all those like big like hip hop artists. I mean, I know they're just like surprise album, it's gonna do well, bam, and then it does. I mean, for working musicians or even like bands in that sense, I mean, there's so many different approaches you can do. I know I have a different method how I'm going to release my original album. I'm not going to share it yet.
Oh, why you gotta leave me in suspense, Jacob? How could you?
All I'm going to say is...
Tell me after the podcast.
I will. I promise I will. But all I'm going to say is there's no one in the area doing something that I'm about to drop. But it's not about me. It's about Tabitha. That's...
Tabitha's going to outdo you now. You know that, right? She's like, Jacob's not one-upping me.
She read in between. She's like, oh, that's what he's doing. Okay. But no, there's like totally different ways to do it. I mean, I know people release singles. I know people release records. But it's all how you build it up. I mean, if you want to do a single and then 4 months later you want to release the album, that in between, you better be thinking of a very strategic marketing, public relations type of plan, how you're going to be working to get the end goal out to the consumers. Or even if you're doing single, then the record and spacing it out, like maybe you have like 10 songs, you did 3 singles like once each month.
Yeah, you do like a third of the record.
Yeah, maybe do like a third of the record, tease it a little bit. Or maybe you can even make it like engaging, like release a single and then say like, hey, we have a ton of more music. Would you rather us release another single, or would you rather have the whole album? And then be like, oh, if we have 10 Facebook likes by the end of tonight, we'll do it. I mean, just an example. But and then that way you're kind of engaging with your audience, and kind of exactly what you're saying. Like once you start playing the field a little bit more and understanding who your audience is, and like really engaging in the market, you'll kind of have a more concrete decision of like where you want to take it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think you hit on a clear point, which is like you need to understand who your audience is and what they would want from you. Mm-hmm. Some people might want like a bunch of singles. Some people might want the whole record because your music is, I feel like maybe like Public Sounds, like their instrumental stuff was like people want to hear a whole record of that because it's like the re-listenability of that is probably like higher. Not to say like other music isn't, but certain songs are just like Tabitha said, latch a little harder to what people would appreciate more than other things. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're never gonna know that until you are just doing it enough and communicating with your audience to a point that allows that type of data to reveal itself to you for you to make use of.
Well, this was honestly pretty insightful. I learned quite a bit. I have my notebook right here. I have full of notes. But no, this was great. Yeah, and guys, let us know if you like this kind of almost reaction based stylistic podcast. If Marcus gets somebody just in the heat of the moment, just like, hey, let's just record real quick, and then my first reaction of I get to listen to it the first time and kind of talk on my opinions and thoughts on it. Let us know if you like that. Hey, let us know if you even want to be on the podcast too. I mean, we're doing so many new and exciting things kind of going on. We have a bigger plan than just sitting in Marcus's apartment for the remaining of.
We're gonna sit in other places.
We're gonna sit in other places. It's
gonna be great. I love sitting. It's my favorite. I can't wait to sit
I'm
in
current-
other seats.
I'm currently laying down, but
My chairs are not the best.
yeah.
I understand.
but we have a bigger plan, but yeah, just like releasing music and literally what we talked about 10 seconds ago. Let us know what you guys want to hear. But other than that, we'll plug in the social medias when we have it.
Yeah.
But
We're working hard on that. I'll tell you that much. We got some cool imagery we're working on. It's going to be great. And the funny thing is that we're saying this, but when you hear the podcast, all this stuff will be set up already. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's cool for you guys to know what we're doing right now to get that started. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not that interesting, but the people that we put on the podcast.
Let us know if you think we're interesting.
Reviews are always great. Positive reviews online on iTunes. I'm pretty sure I can make that happen.
iTunes, Bookface, Instacrap. Just let us know. Again, my name is Jacob Tacos. You can find me at JAKOBTAKOS on all social media platforms.
My name is Marcus Hernandez. You can find me online at on Instagram at Marcus Sax, MarkisSax, and Marcus Hernandez on Facebook. And yeah, we'll catch you all on the next episode.
Yo.
On me, even if I try and hide it, I know there's no denying. Come on, baby, say.